You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? Glad that you can join me on another podcast of All Things Sports with Mike Davis. I thank you for including my podcast into your day or night or afternoon, whenever you decide to listen. If you're listening on Spotify, follow the podcast. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, comment, like, all that good stuff. Make sure you go to the Facebook page, get in contact with the show for comments or any suggestions. I won't take up much more of your time. Let's get into it. Okay, so I'm sure that by now you've heard about LaMarcus Aldridge going to the Brooklyn Nets. Aldridge, who is a 7-time All-Star, has agreed to sign with the Nets for the rest of the season. Now, Aldridge, who is 35 years old, I had no idea LaMarcus Aldridge was that old. Aldridge was one of my favorite players in Portland. Just wanted to say that when he was with the Blazers. One of my favorite players. Really fell off the map when he left Portland. I thought he was going to blossom under the tutelage of Popovich down in San Antonio, but that just didn't seem to happen. So, Aldridge, who is 35 years old, agreed to a contract buyout with the Spurs, and then ended up joining the Nets and their loaded talent in the pursuit of the franchise first NBA championship. Now, it had been reported earlier that the Miami Heat were a strong contender for Aldridge, but he decided to accept the Nets' offer of one of the franchise's 2 remaining roster spots. Now, Aldridge is expected to play a majority of his minutes at the center position, which means that his arrival could impact playing time for center DeAndre Jordan. For his career, he has averaged 19 points, 8 boards a game throughout his 15 NBA seasons. I have no idea he had been in the league in 15 years. LaMarcus Aldridge has been in the league for 15 years. That's just crazy. Wow. 9 of those years were with the Portland Trail Blazers. This year, he is only averaging 13 points, 4 boards a game. So if he is inserted into the starting lineup now, I'm not sure Blake Griffin is starting. He is playing, though. So let's say if the Nets go with his starting lineup, they will go with Irvin, Harden, Durant, Griffin, and Aldridge as a starting unit. Now, my thoughts on this. My thoughts are, I like it. They added depth to their roster, which is what they were missing when they traded away Jared Allen for Harden, when they sent Allen to Cleveland as a part of that Harden package. I was worried about, like I said, depth when it came to the Brooklyn Nets because I felt they gave away too much, especially inside, because, you just don't know how sturdy Kevin Durant is. I know the Nets have held him out for what seems like forever. He hasn't played in a while, but it seems like really they're just going to rest him until playoff time, or maybe right before playoff time. They're not really saying what the injury per se is. I mean, I'm pretty sure they have a injury out there that they're using, but Durant has been sitting for a long time. Same with Kyrie. Kyrie's been in and out of the lineup. Harden really, right now, has been carrying this Brooklyn team, and he more than likely is the front runner for the MVP. I like what Griffin and Aldridge bring. All you're asking for them to do is play defense and rebound. That's it. That's all you want out of them. They're pretty much a shell of their former selves. They're not, Griffin and Aldridge are not guys that's going to go out and get you 20 and 10 a night anymore. So I like the moves. I don't think that there will be any chemistry issues going forward. Uh, Harden in that lineup, I know he's probably going to be playing two guard, but he will be running the point, and Irvin will uh, play the two as a point, a la Allen Iverson. Uh, did anybody know that James Harden leads the league in assists per game? James Harden is averaging 11 assists a game. Like I said, James Harden is the front runner right now for MVP. But as of right now, I think the Brooklyn Nets are the team to beat. I think getting Aldridge and Griffin, they shore up the problems they would have had going up against the Milwaukee Bucks with Antetokounmpo, and also the 76ers with Joel Embiid. I feel like this is a great move because now you can bring DeAndre Jordan in off the bench, give one of those guys a break. When the postseason gets around, the rotations kind of shorten up. Teams most likely will go with a 8-man rotation. So I like the moves that the Nets are showing. I think right now, with this deal getting Griffin and Aldridge, I think that they are now the team to beat in the NBA. I'm really not. I'm not afraid of what LeBron and the Lakers are have in store. And I'm sorry, not KD, but Anthony Davis, AD. Anthony Davis hasn't played in forever as well, as he is out with injury. And same with LeBron James. LeBron James is out with injury. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Lakers do, bringing in Drummond to fill a spot that they need. But still, I think with the moves that the Nets have made, I think that the NBA title ends up going to Brooklyn, and it will end up in the Brooklyn Nets' hand this season. Everyone giving them grief about, starting, going to, everyone wants to go to the Nets and be a super team. And my take on that is, okay, no one says anything when LeBron James does it. LeBron James went down to Miami and recruited players, and then he went back to Cleveland and recruited players, and now he's with the Lakers and he's still recruiting players. So I don't have an issue with it. It's today's NBA, and it's something you just learn to deal with. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on LaMarcus Aldridge signing with the Brooklyn Nets for the rest of the season. All right, let's get into some history, some sports history. This day in sports. Back in 1972, Major League Baseball player staged its first ever collective strike. This day, April 1st, 1992, NHL players began their first strike in the 75-year history of the sport. So there you have two strikes going on by Major League Baseball and the NHL. Also this day in 1996, sad story right here with this one. Major League Baseball umpire John McSherry dies of a heart attack while umpiring on opening day at the Cincinnati Reds Riverfront Stadium. He was 51 years old. This is one of those things where I remember this. I think I was 14 or 15. I might have been a freshman in high school when this happened, but I vividly remember seeing this on the news and seeing McSherry. I remember he just started going to the backstop and he just collapsed. And you can see they were giving him CPR. And unfortunately, it nothing worked. So R.I.P. John McSherry. Unfortunate situation in baseball. And if I remember correctly, didn't Marge Schott, the owner of the Reds at the time, want the game to continue? They ended up postponing the game, which they should have, which was the right thing to do. But I believe she wanted the game to continue. One of the worst owners, worst people ever in the history of life. All right, this day also in 1999, Detroit Pistons guard Joe Dumars becomes the 10th player in NBA history to play 1,000 games with the same team and is one of 8 to play 1,000 games with his only team. All right, guys, that's all I got for you today. I thank you for including my podcast into your day. If you're listening on Spotify, follow the podcast. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, comment, like, all that good stuff. Go to the Facebook page and contact the show for comments or suggestions. You can listen to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. And remember, it's your world. I'm just giving my opinion. I'm out. Peace.
You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis.